The trap in the forest was quiet. It was quiet. Jake moved slowly between the tall trees, his boots crunching softly on dry leaves. Sky above was dark, filled with clouds, and the moonlight came in patches through the branches. He was alone, but he didn't feel alone. He never felt alone in this place. Jake had been a soldier once. A tough one. Now he lived away from people, deep in the woods. People said he was crazy. Maybe he was. But he knew what he had seen. He set the last of his traps, a strange metal device with blinking lights and sharp spikes. It wasn't for animals. Jake wasn't hunting deer tonight. He was waiting for something ... different. Weeks ago, a flash of blue light had appeared in the sky. It had come down near his cabin. Since then, small things began to happen. Tools went missing. Trees were cut down, not with axes, but with heat. Jake had found strange footprints in the mud. Round, light, not human. He knew he wasn't crazy. Something or someone was here. Tonight he was ready. Jake sat down near his trap, holding his old rifle. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp, watching every shadow. The wind blew, making soft whistling sounds. The forest felt alive. Watching him back, then a light, soft blue, moving behind the trees. Jake didn't move. The light came closer. A strange figure stepped into the trap zone. It was glowing faintly, like a soft night lamp. Thin arms, small feet, big black eyes. It looked like a girl, but not human. Her skin was pale green, her hair floated like silk, and she moved like she was floating. Jake's trap clicked. The spikes rose from the ground and wrapped around her legs. She screamed, a soft, high-pitched sound. Not loud, but full of fear. Jake stood and pointed his gun. The alien girl looked up at him, eyes wide with terror. She raised her hands and spoke in perfect English. "Please, don't eat me," he asked, lowering his gun just a little. "Don't eat me," she said again. Her voice was soft, shaking. I'm not dangerous. I swear I'm just hiding." Jake looked at her closely. She wasn't like the stories. She didn't have sharp claws. No weapons. She was thin, weak-looking, like a deer caught in headlights. "Why would I eat you?" Jake asked. She looked confused, because humans are carnivores. You eat the weak ones. Jake said nothing. He stared at her, trying to decide if she was lying. But she looked truly scared. "I was hiding from the hunters," she said. "I didn't mean to land here. I didn't know Earth was so of killers." Jake took a step closer. "Hunters? What hunters?" The alien girl didn't answer. Her eyes darted around the dark forest. "They're coming," she whispered. "They follow scent and fear. I left my world to escape, but I don't think I escaped far enough." Jake knelt beside her. "Who are you? My name doesn't matter to your kind. You can call me Lura." He looked at her feet, still trapped. Blood, or something like blood, was dripping from a cut. Jake pressed a button, and the spikes opened. She pulled her legs back, but didn't run. "You won't eat me." Jake gave a small, dry laugh. "I don't eat anything that talks back." Lura relaxed a little. "That's not what we were told." Jake looked around. The forest was quiet again, but now it felt wrong. Heavy, like something was watching them both. "Come," he said. "You're not safe out here." Lura tried to stand, but stumbled. Jake caught her. She was light as a feather. Could feel her bones through her soft skin. As they walked slowly back to the cabin, Jake kept his eyes on the trees. He had seen wars. He had fought monsters. But this was different. This girl, this alien, was afraid of something worse than him. Back at the cabin, Jake locked the door and gave her water. She drank like she hadn't in days. He watched her closely. She looked like a harmless creature, like a rabbit. But her words stayed in his mind. "They're coming." Jake cleaned his rifle, checked his traps again, and looked out the window in the sky. Far above the forest, a faint red light blinked. Something was coming, and maybe this time. Earth wasn't ready. The cabin was small, made of old wood and strong memories. Inside, the fire crackled softly. Outside, the forest whispered secrets to the night. Lura sat on the wooden floor. Her legs curled under her like a frightened bird. Her skin still glowed faintly in the dark, like moonlight trapped inside her. She looked at everything around her with wide, nervous eyes. The shelves, the tools, the weapons, all so sharp, so human. Jake watched her from across the room. He didn't trust her, not yet, but she didn't seem dangerous. She looked more like a lost child than an alien. He handed her a piece of bread. Lura sniffed it, then took a small bite. Her face twisted. "It's dry," she said quietly. Jake raised an eyebrow. "It's food." "In my world," she said, "food grows on water. It sings." Jake stared. "Bread doesn't sing." Lura gave a weak smile. "Your world is strange." He sat in silence for a moment, then Jake spoke. "You said they're coming? Who are they?" Lura's smile vanished. "They're hunters," she said. "From a broken star, they destroy and feed. They're not like you. You kill because you must. They kill because they like it." Jake narrowed his eyes. "How many?" "I don't know. They don't stop. I escaped through a cracked portal. I thought Earth was empty, but it's worse. It's filled with eaters." She looked at him. Really looked. "You're one of them, aren't you?" She whispered and met at her. Jake said nothing. "I've read about humans," she said quietly. "Your history, wars, teeth, blood. You kill your own kind. You raise animals only to eat them?" "Why?" Jake stood and walked to the window. The forest outside was calm, but his heart wasn teen, because we can. Silence again. "You were going to kill me, weren't you?" she asked. Jake turned slowly. His voice was low. "No, I was going to trap you, study you, maybe scare you." She tilted her head. "Why?" "Because I've seen too many monsters come from the sky." "And what if I'm not a monster?" Jake looked into her eyes. "Then you're just unlucky." Lura's shoulders dropped. "People are peaceful. We don't fight. We eat roots, not flesh. We don't even hurt insects. But that's why. We're easy to hunt." She touched the side of her neck and pulled something out, a small metal chip, glowing red. Jake's eyes locked on it. "What is that?" he asked, stepping closer. "A tracker. They put it on me before I escaped. I tried to destroy it, but it stayed alive. It calls them." Jake cursed under his breath and took the chip. "You've been broadcasting a signal all this time?" "Didn't know Earth had thinking life. I thought it was just plants and oceans. I was trying to hide." Jake placed the chip on the table, picked up a hammer, and smashed it. Sparks flew. The glow died. But the cabin already felt different. Lura stood, panic on her face. "It's too late." Jake grabbed his rifle and checked. The door, far away, deep in the sky, a red flash blinked once, then twice. Jake turned to her. "If you're not lying, we've got a big problem. I told you," she said, her voice shaking. "I didn't come to invade. I came to warn." Jake looked at her, his face hard as stone. "You trust too easily?" he said, "and you trust nothing." She replied softly. Another red flash in the sky. Closer, Jake gripped his weapon tighter. Lura stepped toward him, her small frame trembling. "If they come, they'll kill both of us." Jake looked at her, then at the forest beyond the window. "Then we make sure they regret it. Before Earth, before the trap, before the fear. There was fire. There was screaming. There was running." Lura remembered her homeworld, soft hills, glowing rivers, plants that laughed when touched. Her people were gentle. They danced with. The wind, they never fought. They never had to, until the sky opened, until the beasts came. Lura had seen them, not through glass, not on screens, with her own wide eyes. Giant bodies covered in hard plates, legs that crushed stone, eyes like black holes, cold, empty, endless. They spoke no words. They just ate. And once they knew you could run, they chased. Now, in the quiet of Jake's cabin, Lura woke with a scream. Her body shook. She clutched the blanket around her. Jake was already up, sitting at the table, sharpening a knife. He didn't flinch at the sound. He just looked at her, calm as always. "Bad dream?" he asked. She nodded. "They don't leave me." Jake sipped black coffee, then stopped running. Lura looked at him. "Easy for you to say. You're the kind of creature they avoid." Jake gave a dry smile. "I've hunted worse." Lura stared out the window. "No, you haven't." Jake stood and walked to a metal box in the corner. He opened it and took out a small silver disc. The tracker chip he had smashed the night before. "I thought this thing was dead," he said, "but it was only sleeping." Tossed it on the table. It was glowing again, faint but steady. "They're still coming," Jake said.
"I don't work."
"Maybe already here." Lura stepped back. "You have to destroy it." "I did," Jake replied. "It rebuilt itself. Probably using ambient energy from the cabin. Smart tech." Lura's face turned pale. "That's bad. Really bad." Jake leaned forward. "Then tell me what I'm dealing with." She hesitated. "They're not just hunters. They're collectors. They eat minds. They taste memories. They move between planets like sharks move through water." Jake frowned. "How many of them?" "Hundreds, maybe thousands. But they don't all come at once. It's just a few scouts first. Enough to test the world's strength." Jake nodded slowly. "And if they think we're weak, they come in full force." Jake picked up his rifle and opened a drawer. He started checking bullets. "Then let's make them think Earth is hell." Lura looked at the rifle with fear and curiosity. "We don't have weapons like that," she said. "We use light to heal, not to kill." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Maybe that's why they chose you as prey." She didn't answer. Her hands were shaking. Jake paused. "You said they eat fear. Are you giving them a feast right now?" Lura gave a weak laugh, then covered her face. "I didn't come to Earth to fight. I came to hide. I thought I could disappear here." Jake looked out the window. The trees were still, but the air had changed. He could feel it in his skin, like something was pressing against the edges of the world. "You're not hiding anymore," he said. Lura walked to the table. Her hands hovered above the tracker. "They'll be here by nightfall. If the scouts land, they'll smell me. Even if I run again, they'll find me." Jake leaned in. "Then we don't let them land." She looked up. "What do you mean?" Jake pulled out an old radio device and started tuning it. "I used to work on satellite defense teams. I've still got access to a few old tricks. If I can get the right signal, maybe I can scramble their landing tech, at least slow them." Down Lura stepped back, surprised. "You'd help me?" Jake didn't look at her, added, "They're not just your problem anymore." For the first time, Lyra stood straight. Her fear didn't vanish, but it paused. She nodded. Then she said something strange, soft, in a language Jake didn't know. A blessing, maybe. Or a promise. "What did that mean?" he asked. Lyra smiled. "It means 2 hearts, 1 storm." As night began to fall, the red glow in the sky returned. Not 1 flash. 2. 4. They were closer now, and they were hungry. Jake closed the cabin door, locked it tight, and whispered under his breath, "Let them come." Asterisk, it saw heat. It smelled fear. It wanted meat. From the sky, the scout dropped, silent as mist, cold as death. The creature had no name. It didn't need one. It was born for one reason, to hunt. Its body shimmered with black armor. Its legs moved like liquid metal. Its breath was chemical fire. It was not alone. 2 more followed behind, landing in different corners of the forest. But this one smelled something special. A strange scent, soft, familiar, herbivore. It licked the air. It had hunted this kind before. She was here. Jake wiped sweat from his brow as he placed the last trap. A pressure-triggered spike launcher built from old scrap. Sharpened metal and just enough hate. He looked up at the treetops, then at the sky. The glow was gone now, but he didn't believe in peace. Lura crouched nearby, watching him. She no longer looked weak. Her fear hadn't vanished. It had sharpened. Like a blade, she held a small glowing device in her hand. Da-da. The numbers were rising. They've landed, she said. Jake didn't reply. He was too busy placing tripwires. You've done this before, she said softly. Jake nodded, too many times. Why did you stop? He looked at her. 'Cause war eats you, even if you win. Lura stared down at her hands. My people never learned to fight. We thought peace was protection. Jake stood. It's not. Peace is bait. Suddenly, a rustling noise. Fast. Heavy. Jake raised his hand. Lura froze. He turned toward the sound, trees shifting, leaves scattering. A blur of black movement dashed between trunks. Jake's voice dropped. We're not alone anymore. The creature moved like smoke and shadow. It saw the cabin, firelight, the heat of two bodies, but it also saw something else. Metal wires, heat traps. It paused. This world was more clever than expected. Still, cleverness could die. Everything died when it screamed. It opened its mouth, no lips, just folds of wet. Armor End released a low, pulsing sound, a call, a challenge, a warning. Inside the cabin, the sound hit like thunder underwater. Lura covered her ears and dropped to her knees. Jake didn't move. He just whispered. They're close. He checked his rifle one last time, looked at the window, then back at Lura. You want to live? He asked. She nodded, eyes wide. Then stop running. You're bait now. I'll be the teeth. They moved fast out the back of the cabin. Through the forest, Jake led her to a fallen tree, where one of his traps was hidden beneath leaves. He pointed, when you hear a screech, dive here. Lura nodded, clutching the scanner. Jake, she whispered. What if it's more than one? Jake's jaw clenched. Then I'll kill more than one. The first scout leapt through. Trees, its claws slicing branches midair, saw movement below the herbivore. Yes, her. But before it could land, a wire snapped. The forest exploded. Sharp metal tore through the air and sliced into the creature's leg. It screamed, a horrible, metallic sound. It crashed into a tree and rolled onto the ground, snapping branches as it fell. Jake stepped out from the shadows. He raised his rifle and fired once. Boom! The bullet smashed into the creature's shoulder. Ow! It roared, but it wasn't dead. Jake stared it down. You came to the wrong forest, said. The creature lunged, too fast, too strong. Jake dove, rolled, and pulled out a second weapon, a flare gun. He fired at its face. Blinding light, smoke, pain. The creature screamed and fell back, clawing at its eyes. Lura ran to Jake, pulled him behind a rock as the second scout's scream echoed in the distance. They're coming, she said. Both of them. Jake reloaded. Good. Let them. Now it was two predators in the forest, one with tech, one with instinct. But Jake had something the others didn't, a reason to fight. He wasn't protecting Earth. He wasn't protecting peace. He was protecting her, the weak one, the herbivore, the girl who still believed in mercy, and that was the most dangerous thing of all. The sky was too quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't last. Lura stood at the edge of a hill staring up at the stars. Her skin faintly glowed under the moonlight. The trees below were dark, still, and hiding more than just shadows. Behind her, Jake worked silently, setting up his last defense. His hands moved fast, like a man who had done this too many times before, placing wires, arming explosives, and hiding motion sensors. But tonight wasn't just about traps. It was about choices. Do you regret helping me? Lura asked without turning. Jake didn't answer right away. He tested a trigger wire, then stood up. Ask me when the sun rises. Lura closed her eyes. If the sun rises? Jake looked at her for a long second. It will. Far in the distance, a new sound echoed through the forest. Not footsteps, not wind. It was a deep hum, low, steady, alien. The second scout had arrived. This one was bigger. Its armor was darker, thicker, its senses sharper. It wasn't just hunting. It was scanning. It found heat signatures, too warm-blooded. Nearby, it began to move, not fast, not loud, just sure. It knew where they were. Back in the forest, Jake handed Laura a small device. "If I tell you to run," he said, "you don't argue." She looked down at it. A detonator. Remote charge. Last resort. Laura hesitated. "What about you?" Jake gave a thin smile. "I never planned to leave." They didn't speak again. The moment had passed. Now came the storm. A loud crack split the night, the sound of metal feet snapping a branch. Jake raised his rifle. Positions. Laura ducked behind a log. Her hands shook, but her eyes were steady now. She wasn't running this time. She was watching, learning. The second scout stepped into the open, tall as a tree, plated in midnight black armor, eyes glowing dim red. It paused. It scanned. Jake fired. The first shot bounced. The second dented. The third caught a joint. The creature roared. Jake moved, ducking, rolling, diving behind a tree as the alien charged forward, tearing bark like paper. Lyra screamed. Behind. "You." Jake spun, fired again, this time aiming for the mouth. Direct hit. The creature stumbled and let out a deep, echoing scream that shook the leaves above. But that was only the beginning. 3 new red lights blinked in the sky. Laura looked. Up in horror. "They're sending more," she said. "They never send more, unless they've found prey." Jake swore. "So we hold them off?" "No," she whispered. "We can't. Not alone." "What?" He looked at her. "Then it's a good thing we're not." Suddenly, the forest came alive. From a nearby hill, loud mechanical sounds echoed, old military drones, reactivated and flying in formation. Jake had called them in with a hacked signal from his radio. They weren't smart. They weren't fast. But they had guns. The drones opened. Fire on the second scout. Bullets rained down like metal hail. The alien roared again, struck in the chest and shoulder. It turned, not afraid, but angry. It leapt into the trees, disappearing into darkness. Silence again. But no one felt safe. Jake walked to Laura. "That was our best shot," he said. "And it didn't kill it." Laura looked up. "We don't need to kill them." Jake frowned. "What do you mean?" "We need to scare them," she said. "Make them think this planet isn't worth eating." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Scare them with what?" Laura smiled faintly. "With you." In the sky, the mothership shifted. The red glow turned orange. The first phase was over. The real attack was beginning. Asterisk, the fire had burned down. Only glowing coals remained. Laura sat near them, holding a flower. It was small, crushed, a piece of earth. She didn't know its name, but it grew in the middle of chaos. She thought maybe, oh, could she? Behind her, Jake checked the drone controls. One last time. They'd already lost half of them. The rest wouldn't last long. He looked at the sky, still orange, still blinking, still watching. The mothership hovered above like a silent god. No sound, no message, just judgment Jake had seen. Many wars, but this was different. This wasn't a war for power or land. This was a hunt, and they were the cornered prey. "They've stopped scanning," Laura said quietly. Jake nodded. "Now, that means they're ready to strike." She stood up, clutching the detonator from before. "Then so are we." He looked at her, this small, glowing alien who once begged him not to eat her. Now she was ready to fight beside him. "You sure?" he asked. She gave a small nod. "I learned from the best monster on this planet." Jake smirked. "Oh, damn right." Suddenly a roar tore through the trees. Not like before, deeper, heavier. Jake turned. "That's not a scout." Laura's skin dimmed. "That's their commander." Trees ahead split apart like paper. The creature that emerged was twice as big, twice as fast, and nothing like the others. Its armor pulsed red. Its limbs moved in unnatural ways. Its eyes were not eyes at all. Just spinning black discs that Focused on Jake, it didn't roar. It didn't charge. It just watched. Jake raised his gun, but something in him hesitated. This thing wasn't just a hunter, it was intelligent. Lura stepped forward. "Let me try something." Jake blocked her. "What are you doing?" She walked slowly toward the beast, holding her flower. "We don't. Just scare them with weapons," she said. "Scare them with what they don't understand." The alien commander tilted its head. Lura stopped 5 steps away, holding out the crushed flower. "This is Earth. It grows even in ruins." The commander hissed, confused. It sniffed the air, not for blood, but for intent. Lyra placed the flower on the ground, then whispered, "We don't run anymore." Suddenly the commander snapped. Forward, too fast. It swung its clawed arm at Lyra, but something slammed into it from the side. Jake, he tackled the creature with full force. They rolled into the trees. The trapwire snapped. Boom! An explosion rocked the forest. The commander screeched, not in pain. It stood again. Part of its armor was gone, revealing glowing flesh underneath. Jake stood up too bloody. Breathing hard, but smiling. "I've fought things uglier than you," he said, "but never dumber." He pulled a second detonator from his vest. "This one's for dinner." He hit the switch. Boom, boom. The ground shook. The trees fell, and the commander fell with them. Silence. Smoke then. Coughing, Jake walked out. Of the fire, limping, Lyra ran to him, eyes wide. "You're alive." He grinned. "That thing hits hard." She hugged him. Just for a second, Jake looked up at the mothership, still glowing, still watching. He raised both middle fingers at it. "Tell your gods I'm still here." Above them, the orange lights blinked once. Twice, then faded. The mothership vanished. In silence, Lyra fell to her knees. Not from pain, but from relief. "They're gone," she whispered. "For now." No, Jake sat beside her. "You're not prey anymore," he said. She smiled. "And you're not just a predator." They both looked. At the sky, the stars were coming back, and maybe peace too. The commander did not return. The mothership floated in silence high above Earth's curve, cold, ancient, and full of hunger. But something strange had happened below. Something no scout could explain. They had come to feed. But what they found was something that fought back and worse, something that cared. Emotion, loyalty, sacrifice to them. Those were weaknesses, but on Earth, those were weapons. Down below, the forest was quiet again, but not peaceful. Jake stood at the edge of a crater surrounded by blackened trees and broken machines. His arm was wounded, his face was burned, but his eyes sharp. Lyra stood beside him, leaning on a metal staff Jake had built for her from drone parts. She looked tired, but her glow was stronger now, not soft like before, brighter, fiercer. "The commander didn't die for nothing," Jake muttered. "It was watching. It wanted to see how we'd react." Lyra nodded. "And now it knows we don't break easy." Jake looked at the last drone, half broken, barely flying. "I have 1 shot left," he said, "and you have the signal drive." Lyra held up a small orb, her species tech. A distress beacon.
Ow.
Or a signal bomb. "We overload this," she said, "and send it up. Their ship will think Earth's radiation is unstable, not safe for feeding. They'll leave." Jake smirked. "Let's make it explode like hell then." They set the trap, the signal bomb inside the drone. The drone aimed toward the sky, a single flight, no return. Jake stood ready with the launcher trigger. Lyra looked at him, quiet for a long time, then asked, "What if it doesn't work?" Jake shrugged. "Then I finally get a nap." She didn't laugh. Instead, she touched his hand. "You changed," she said. Jake stared at her. "So did you." The drone rose, slowly, then faster, blinking toward the black ship. Above. Seconds passed. Then a flash. Not an explosion. Not yet. The mothership's eye opened. A beam of red light reached down. Scanning it saw Jake. It saw Lyra. It saw the signal bomb. It knew, but it didn't attack. It hesitated. That was Jake's chance. He pressed the trigger. Boom. The sky cracked open in white blue light. The drone erupted, and the signal bomb screamed across frequencies, blinding, twisting, corrupting the mothership's sensors. The ship blinked once, twice, and then it turned without a word, without a roar, without a war. It left gone. Silence, then wind, then breath. Lura dropped to her knees, shaking. Jake just stood there, stunned. There, Ali, gone, she whispered. For now, Jake said, if they come back, he looked up. They'll find Earth waiting. Laura turned to him, voice soft. I need to return to my world. Jake nodded. You've got people to protect. So do I. She stepped closer. But I'll come back. If your skies stay open, Jake chuckled. Just knock first next time. She opened a portal, shimmering silver, humming softly. She turned back one last time. Jake raised an eyebrow. If I see you again, and you've turned soft, grinned, then you can eat me. Lura laughed, a real laugh this time. Not afraid, not begging, not hiding. And then she was gone. Jake stood alone. In the ashes of a battlefield, he lit a cigarette with a drone spark, looked at the empty sky, and muttered, Humanity, we may be the monsters. He took a slow drag, but we protect our pack.